Hello everyone, welcome to Stock Talk Game where we play and you win. Uploading YouTube videos is something new for us lately. If you're returning or you're here for the first time, we stream playing video games every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Um, on Twitch while we talk about what's going on in the stock market. So myself and the person I run this with, his name is Nate Dogg. We love playing video games, but we also love what's happening in the stock market. We love trading, we love investing. So we've kind of blended those worlds together and created this platform for you, which is called Stock Talk Game. Um, Today on the video, we'll be talking about Pure Storage, the stock ticker PSTG. So this stock came up on my radar yesterday, actually, before it moved today, or yeah, I guess it would be the day before when you're watching this. But I saw it and it looked like it could be a potential prime suspect for a breakout. And so I'm just going to dive into some of the technical analysis, charting of what I see going on and where are some potential upward movements for us to make some money on this thing. So first, as I always do, the first thing I always do is start kind of drawing my trend lines on the graph. So a couple really positives out of the bat. So back in what is this? Basically a year ago, we basically went back down to the price we were a year ago, which is around the $17 mark. We saw it recently bottom there a couple days ago. Let's draw a trend line just for reference. And let's zoom in here so we can see what's going on. So right off the bat, a couple big positives here. The first positive is we see the stock is very close to breaking out of its downward trend line. So we see a trend line, downward trend line. Basically, you just got to find 2 points on the graph. They're typically maybe wicks on the top of a candle. Right here we have one here, and then a second one here. We just kind of see if the stock is in a downward or uptrend. So it's been in a downtrend essentially since mid-February, when is all the kind of internet high growth or speculative stock names kind of topped out. And so since then we've kind of been in a downtrend, but we're at a point where we are potentially seeing a break to the upside. So the first positive on this chart is seeing it right here. We saw it come up and it's trying to break out of this downtrend. So tomorrow, if we see a follow through, we saw it poke its head out on the candle, but to see a reversal of the trend, we actually need to see the stock end the day above the trend line. So we're still haven't seen a breakout. You know, these graphs are always not perfect, so we could potentially be breaking out already, but we're really close to a breakout. So tomorrow we need to see a breakout. If we see a breakout, then we could potentially see a reversal of the downward trend since February. We'll just draw a couple other trend lines to see how things are going. So you can see here we started a trend line, but then we saw a sideways consolidation. So just so we don't have too many lines here, let me remove that. And so we're actually in a sideways pattern right now. So we see the bottom of the range there. I'm just going to call the top of the range here, because one day we saw it poke out, but it hit the trend line and came back down a little bit. So now we're in this sideways trend line. So for some people, they might actually call this a bull flag. A bull flag is typically a little bit higher with the little flag on the end, but we'll just draw that just for the heck of it. So bull flag typically a little bit higher angle than 45 degrees, but we see the pattern go sideways, you know, upwards, and then we see it lean out. So that's technically like a flag. You know, so you have a pole and a flag coming out. It's close to a flagpole pattern, which is a positive. That's a very bullish indicator. So if we see this go sideways and break out tomorrow above this trend line and break out of this, both the downwards trend line, if we break above that, and then we break out of the sideways pattern, this stock has definitely hit a intermediate bottom. A couple other factors that are kind of showing this potentially hit a bottom is, one, we see the RSI actually went negative on the day that it hit this low around the upper 16s, like 16, was it 70, $16.17. We saw RSI hit negative, or not hit negative, but hit oversold territory. And then a couple days later, when we look at the MACD, we actually saw the MACD turn some halfway, I'll call it halfway positive, because we saw the turquoise line go above the white line. So that's showing that the trend has potentially reversed to a positive momentum. The next things, as I mentioned, we'll kind of lay out 3 things we need to see in the next couple of days to determine if the stock's gonna break out or not. The first thing we need to see is if this MACD, if the turquoise line holds above the white line, and we also break positive. So right now we're at a negative 0.3, but we're getting closer and closer to 0. So if we see the turquoise line above the white line and we also see it break above 0 to the positive, that's going to be a really big indicator that the trend has reversed. The second thing to look at is RSI. So RSI is in a really healthy spot still. And we can actually draw trend lines on the RSI similar like we do on a stock chart. So right here we see, it's not a perfect line, but we saw, it kind of huddle around this place. It broke down, and then we see it come up back. So we also need the RSI to break above this 53, which we're right on the verge of. So I'd say the first breakout is going to be the RSI. If we see, well, let me do this in order. First, we need to see the stock break above the sideways movement and the downwards trend line. If we see that breakout, we're most likely going to see RSI break above 53, and then we're also going to see the MACD start to get close to 0. So if we see all 3 of those things happen, we're most likely now in an upward trend. So assuming that we start an upward trend, let's draw a few more lines to figure out where we might be headed and where there's going to be some resistance in the future. So let's draw a couple resistance lines. Essentially, to draw resistance lines similar to the horizontal lines, we're just going to be finding horizontal lines this time instead. So here's one mark. Actually, I need to zoom out a little bit, I think, for this next resistance point. It's probably up around here somewhere. And like I said, when you're looking for resistance, you're just looking for one, consolidation, or you're seeing a bottom of a consolidation that it bounced off of. So right here we see the top that it couldn't break out in the past, and then here we see it bounce off of support and go higher. So now we're finding those points for potential resistance marks in the future. I think we could draw a couple more just for the heck of it, just to see what else is looking like potential zones to worry about in the future, or potential exit points for our position. Okay, that's probably enough for this graph. Okay, so right here we now have this upward trend line. So tomorrow, if we see it break above and hold this new upward trend line, that's going to be a really positive move. I'll tell you the biggest part that we have to break out above is where this 200-day and 50-day SMA are. So this SMA going, the 50-day going this negative is not a good sign. We actually need the 50-day to kind of come up a little bit, or we need the 200-day to also come down with it. We don't want this 200-day flattening out like this. If we look out in the past, this is typically with every stock you'll see. We always want our SMA stacked from, I guess, longest to shortest. So the 200-day, if we're just using 3, 200-day, 50-day, or 200-day, 100-day, 50-day stack like that. And as you can see here in the past, as soon as we got that order, 200-day, 100-day, 50-day, we saw an upward movement from $17 to $29. And so for long-term bullish, we need these lines to get back in the direct position, and we also need the price above those 3. But as I've kind of shared my overall perspective on the market last week in our stream every Saturday night that you need to go check out this weekend, is I think we're going to start seeing a lot with these kind of stocks that sold off, about a month to a month and a half of positive momentum. When we get to end of July or end of June, mid-July, I think that's where we're going to start seeing a little bit of hiccups in the tech names or the e-commerce names, like the internet names, the things that did really well during COVID. And so I think we're just looking for a short-term swing trade here. So the first point that we really need to break above is this 50-day and 200-day, which is around $20. If we break above those 2 lines, that's a really, really bullish indicator, along with everything that's already happening here. So if we break out here and then break out above $20, I'm setting a price sell anywhere from the first mark would be $21.50 to $22, and the $22 is at the 100-day SMA. So that's probably going to be the peak for me. I don't see it going much higher than that. There is a potential for it to go maybe $23, $24, but if you bought it at 19 bucks and sell it 22, that's a pretty nice profit. You know, was that like 15-ish% or so, give or take? I'm pretty happy with that. That's a good move in my opinion for a short-term swing. So yeah, so just to reorder everything, the first thing we need to see tomorrow on June 3rd is a breakout above this downward trend line. If we see a breakout above that downward trend line, we then need to see it break out of the sideways range that it's been in for the last 7 days. After we see those breakouts, this stock is most likely going to test the 100-day and 50-day SMA at $20. If we see it break out above $20, I'm setting a sell price between $21 and $22. I would say 22 is probably the top of the range. And I think just to give some more context of what this might look like over the next month. So like I said, mid-July is kind of where we get iffy about maybe the top of some of these names rebounding. And what we can see here on our chart is if we go out here, that's July 6th would be where the resistance line and the uptrend hit each other, which could be a peak in that stock. So this is kind of a quick analysis on PSTG, which is Pure Storage Inc. If you do end up buying this, a really safe stop loss would be at the bottom of this sideways range, which is about, I think, what's the bottom of this candle? Bottom of this candle is $18.57. That would be my stop loss. That's really small downside. That's like 2 or 3%. That's really an optimum situation for a stop loss. You're not losing much with potential of a 15% return. So that's where I'd set my stop loss if you're buying tomorrow, if we do see a breakout. But that's all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the content, if you found it beneficial for you to potentially make that money in the stock market, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page, the YouTube page. I'm going to start uploading a lot more content, at least maybe to start 1 to 2 videos a week and then go from there depending on how many stocks I find in the market. Again, we stream every Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch at Stock Talk Game, and we'll be playing video games while we talk about the stock market. So we'll entertain you and also hopefully help you see what's happening in the market to make some money. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it so much. Please subscribe because I'm going to be posting a lot more, and hopefully make some money tomorrow on PSTG. Thanks, guys.